This is my trading game plan. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to my trading game plan. My name is Gareth Soloway, Chief Market Strategist here at VerifiedInvesting.com. So, a lot to unpack. Yesterday, we had the Fed decision. Jerome Powell, again, no interest rate change, but he is going to stay on the Board of Governors. In other words, he will have a vote even when Kevin Warsh is confirmed as the new chairman of the Federal Reserve. And again, what that does, in my humble opinion, is it actually solidifies the Fed a little bit more in the market eyes as being independent, unable to be pushed quite as much. Because remember, any decision on interest rates is a vote. The chairman does not have universal control. So, again, I think in general, that's a positive for the market, at least for now, as we see inflation continuing to rise. Then we had all the mega cap earnings yesterday after the bell, some good, some bad, generally more positive than negative. Alphabet slash Google pushing sharply higher. I do have a trading level on that. Amazon also inching up, Microsoft inching down, and then Meta getting crushed on the back of a higher capex spend than anticipated. And again, in general, the mega caps did up their spend, but just in line with what the products are now costing. So it's not like they're spending more to buy more. They're just spending more to buy the same amount. That's kind of key in my opinion, because it tells you demand is not necessarily going up significantly from the big players out there. Let's get into the charts this morning. This is the S&P futures in the overnight. Notice that on the back of the earnings yesterday after hours, we saw the futures pushing up. Then overnight oil spiked sharply higher to $111 on WTI, and that took the futures down. This morning, oil has faded, euphoria has returned, and the markets are rallying back up towards the highs of the day. Now, the most important thing to understand here, folks, is that we talked yesterday about a major resistance on crude oil, on WTI, the underbelly of the parallel channel. And if we go to the chart here, and I'm bringing it up now on the daily, we'll flip over to it. You can see again what ended up happening. Yesterday, we pierced that level. Today, it's getting rejected. All right. So again, let's watch to see how this plays out. But if you look at charts, generally, you get the parallel channels that are upsloping. They are creating a bigger bear flag from this reversal. Eventually, we break down. Then we go back to the scene of the crime, and eventually we go back down. Again, not something that's a certainty. It's just what most of the time happens. And that's what a good trader does. They position themselves towards the highest probable outcome, not the certainty. We don't get that in trading. No matter how much we want it, there's never certainty. Maybe if you have insider information in the government, but that's about as close as you get. All right, so let's go into some other charts. The S&P daily chart should be up today at the open, back to this parallel. It continues to hammer on this parallel. The big question is it going to break through? If it does get above, remember, that's not a confirmation of a breakout. You must wait for subsequent days to really solidify that it's not just a pierce and a fake out, which I've seen so many times to the downside and the upside. So we'll watch that closely. In addition, I've been telling you guys that it's very unusual for the NASDAQ to not at least pierce 25,000 before any sort of top. We did pull back, as we can see on that chart. Just over the last couple of days, the NASDAQ pulled back after getting within about 117 points of 25,000. I still think it's going to pierce it. Maybe today, after the bell today, we have Apple earnings. Maybe that's the other catalyst to push it through. We'll have to watch and see. But again, I still think that the NASDAQ is going to touch this parallel trend line, which is right around 25,000. Remember, in the dot-com era, we pierced 5,000, which was the top. Now, we actually pierced by about 150 points, which would equate at 25,000 to about a 750-point pierce. But again, pierces are pierces, right? So whether it's 100 pierce on the NASDAQ or 500 or 750, the ultimate goal is this major even number with the euphoria that we're seeing, with the rally we've seen from the lows of April. Is that something that's going to dictate a bigger top in the markets? And obviously, time will tell. The technicals give us some insights. All right, let's move on to some earnings here. Amazon, you can see Amazon's up a little bit on the day. Initially, Amazon fell. then rallied, and then kind of faded, and is just kind of floating here in the pre-market. The one thing I'm keeping an eye on Amazon, folks, is it does have a really good, even swing tradable short level here. If we take this trend line here and we drag it out, notice again what we get, right? We get this beautiful trend line with a chart that basically tells us right around this 270 to 272 level, this is going to be some good resistance. So I'm very curious if it's able to push through this line or not. But that to me is an interesting level to look at. Now, in terms of a day trade, Amazon's not really making a big enough move. So remember, for any time you're trading, you have to look at that time frame and you have to say to yourself, is this a massive move where emotion has taken over from reality? And that's really what us as traders are looking for. Now, on the swing trade basis, we're looking at the daily chart. So is it a ridiculously extended move? Has Amazon surged over the last multiple weeks? Is it hitting resistance? The answer is yes, it is. So good swing trade. Now, on a day trade, what do? We look at the intraday, right? And the intraday is not really doing much. And so that tells me that at least as a day trade, there's not a whole lot to do on the front of Amazon, at least not now. Could change during the day. Obviously, charts can go up and down dramatically, but at least as of now, I'm on the sidelines for the day trade side.
Nous avons créé un embout de tuyaux d'arrosage à 45 € qui rend tous les nettoyeurs haute pression du